been anxious. So MEC will take us through the update. And also we're going to be updating on the exam process, the National Senior Certificate that we managed in Gauteng. We'll update on that as well. We'll give you an opportunity to ask questions, including those that are online. You can send us the direct messages there. We'll be in a position to take all the questions that you will be asking. Let me see.
Okay, thank you so much, Steve. Good morning. Yes, we are back again to give you the update in terms of how far we have gone with regard to our admission and examination. I know quite a number of you have been anxious. I've been listening very closely in the media of late how some organizations and obviously parents have raised frustrations as to with the placement. So this will just give you a picture of how far we are, and also upon conclusion I'll be able to give you dates of when we will conclude this particular process. Just for recap, go to the slide of numbers. You would recall that we had received 820,350 applications, which is not unique. That meant that a parent, if you're applying to a school, you count it as one. You're applying to another school, you count it as one. You apply to a different school, we count it as one. So out of that, we received 820,350 for both grade 1 and 8. And then we classified it as unique. I mean, when we say unique, we say per learner. So in terms of learners, it's 358,574, which accounts between 175,792 for grade 1 and 182,782 for grade 8. And if you look at the sum total of capacity, it's sitting at 405,627. And then you have obviously for grade 8, grade 1 and 8. So an assumption would be, then it's easy, then all our children should have gotten spaces. But just to give you the picture where we are, we have placed 88.7% of the total number of 358, which is 317,988, of which 160,262 is for grade 1, which accounts for 91% of those who have applied, completed applications. And then 157, which is 86% of grade 8 applicants. We are left with 40,586, of which the numbers are clear. 15,530 is for grade 1 that we still need to place, which accounts for 8.8%, and 25,056, which is 13.7%. Now, if you look at the sum total of available space, it says 87,000, which should cover 40,000. That's not really the problem. These spaces that are required are in areas which are oversubscribed. These are high pressure areas in particular districts. And if you understand the population or the dynamic of the geographical dynamic of Gauteng, you'll know that the urban centers were there, but these spaces are mostly in the periphery areas of our province. So because of the movement of the population into the urban center, which is this inner Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni, Tshwane, the metros in particular, you will then have a larger number of requirement for spaces in those areas, and then far less in the periphery, which will then be the outskirts of Gauteng, such as the West Rand corridor. So this is why we have this situation of high pressure areas and lack of spaces and the delay in placement. Now, within the same table, I've listed offers which account for 11,666. These are offers that are currently in the hands of parents, and parents have not accepted those offers. And within these particular offers, you will find that a parent or a learner has got 2 offers from 2 schools, and they have not accepted the 2 offers because the assumption is that the school that they prefer, the offer will come up. And that on its own delays us placing other learners as well. So this is what we are sitting with. 11,666 offers have been made to parents. They've currently have them on their phones or on their registration portal. And I would urge parents to really accept these offers. As I go down, you'll be able to see that some of the schools of interest are already they've reached saturation. We can't place anymore. They've reached capacity. So with these offers that have been put forward to parents, the 11,666, after a period of 7 days, we're going to move for automatic placement. So I would urge parents that they should decide, especially those who have got more than one offer made to them. They choose a school that is preferred by them. The delays, the reason why there's been a delay in this year, amongst those is the late submissions of required document by parents, parents provisionally accepting offers, which on its own creates a delay. And obviously, as I've said earlier, when they don't accept, it hoards the space. So it makes it difficult for us to place learners. And also we had to correct the grade 8 applicants, because some of the parents wanted to change home language. And the home language factor, we take it from grade 7. If your home language was English in grade 7, would want to place you on an English home language. But some parents decided that their child has been doing a different home language in grade 7, and they wanted to change the home language. And that also affected the application process. So we had to advise and correct them so that there should be continuity as well. Because generally it's very difficult for a learner to adapt to a new home language at grade 8. It takes them longer, and it becomes quite a costly exercise, because it means parents will then have to get tutors, will get this and that, so they're able to bring the learner on par with their peers. The placement criteria remains the same. Home address within school feeder zone, siblings or previous school, work address, home address within 30 kilometers, and home address beyond 30 kilometers. The criteria is what we've been utilizing. And I have to repeat this. We don't work on first come, first serve. We use the criteria to place. Even if you were the first person to apply, for example, this school that we are in, King Edward, which is, I have to say, one of our top schools in the country. I was speaking to the principal about the school that I saw in one report that it's the #1 boys sports school in the country. It's better than all those ones that are trading on TikTok with their parents eating caviar. You know them in Durban and them. In terms of sports performance, they are far below this school. This one is number 1. And also in that ranking, 3 of the schools in that ranking are from Gauteng, and all of them are public schools. So there's no private school in that ranking in the top 10 of sports that come from our Gauteng private schools. So I've got nothing against private schools, but I'm just saying that public is clearly producing amongst the best. In fact, the best in this regard. So it's not first come, first serve. So if your parent, you had applied 30 kilometers and beyond, you will be down in the pecking order as opposed to a parent who's in the feeder zone, because we'll start with that parent. So this is how we place. That's why we've put this criteria very specific. Home address, feeder zone, siblings, if the child has a sibling in the school, or also there are schools that feed into certain secondary schools, the primary schools. In the grade 1, there are ECDs that feed certain primary schools. So that's what we utilize. I've spoken earlier about the 11,666 that have not responded to offers, and to say that with that, in the next 7 days, because the process has started, in the next 7 days, we will automatically place these numbers. So I would urge parents to really accept these offers, because it then delays the conclusion of this process. I had made indication that this process should have concluded by the end of November, but I've highlighted the reason for the delay. So with that, we will conclude the placement by the 12th of December. So by the 12th of December, comfortably, we would have concluded the placement of all our learners who are, this was the 358 completed applications. So in terms of parents and appeals, we're dealing with appeals from the transfers that we're dealing with now. And obviously every appeal is treated in its unique form. Parents must not assume that we just randomly have an automatic response for appeals. We treat every appeal within its uniqueness. We investigate every single appeal so that we can come up with an answer that is sufficient for the parent to understand. But the appeal process is only linked to transfers. When we put you on the transfer, it means all the schools that you have chosen have all reached capacity and we can't place your child at those particular schools. And then it means that the parent then can appeal the school that we are transferring the child to. Those are the only parents that can appeal. Parents can appeal a school that they've chosen. If you choose 5 schools, for us, it means you are happy with any of those 5 schools you have chosen. That's what it tells us. So you can appeal in that regard because we've placed the child in a school that they've chosen. I've had a parent said, I chose this school because it came up on my system. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You choose a school because you know that this school or this school or this school, I'll be happy if my child gets a space in those schools. And that's how we treat it. So we are acting on their choices. So those parents appealing will not be accepted. It's only those that have not had their children placed at their school of choice. Those ones are the ones who can appeal, and then from there we'll do an investigation. And if we feel that there was an error done by the school, by the district, we then take it back, that issue there, so that the child can get their space in that form. But if not, we then are able to explain that your child was number 201, the school capacity is 200. So we can't, and that 200 that have come in, this is the process. We are able to even put it before the parent to understand that this is the information, so they understand where we are. that nothing unjust was done to them or to their child being denied space in their preferred school. But every appeal will have an outcome, and the final arbiter of all appeals is the MEC, which is myself. Beyond myself, there's no other appeal process. So hence I'm highlighting the level of integrity on how we deal with every appeal, that parents must be rest assured that we deal, or I deal with every appeal with its uniqueness. And I read these appeals. I've seen how some parents write an email to me. There's a process. You can't appeal to me through a WhatsApp because you have my number, or social media. I've had appeals come through my Facebook account. I've had appeal come through my X account, etc., or TikTok. So those are not avenues. And you can't write a direct appeal to me. There's a process that has been highlighted for the parent to follow to get to me. So you can't move and say, I'm appealing this, but yet you have not followed the proper channels for the appeal process. So I would urge parents that they should get well invested with how the appeal process works, and it does get to me at some point. But majority of parents, I must say, they were able to get that appeal process right. So we are dealing with those appeals as they come, so that they don't pile up. We will open for late applications from the 17th of December 2025, which we should be able to conclude by the end of January 2026 for the late applications. And in this, we'll also urge those with incomplete applications to go and apply. It's not automatically that you have applied. Incomplete applications, they need to apply and comply with the documentation. It's important that they do that. As well as they need to understand, for those who will be dealing with the late applications, that you'll only be allowed to apply at schools that you see on the system. All those schools that are oversubscribed, they won't be there. All of them. All the schools that have reached capacity, you won't see them on the system. So you will only select schools that are available, and as you select, it's automatic placement. So with late application, there's no waiting period where you must sit and say, we're going to place you. As you apply, you find a school, you get placed there, then it's automatic. Just to give you a brief highlight of how full our schools are. As we sit now, we've got 467 schools that have reached full capacity. Full capacity. Out of those, we've got 247 which are primary schools and 220 which are secondary schools. And some of the schools are extreme high pressure. I mean, for instance, around 7 of our primary schools had received applications of 1,000 and beyond. And if you look at their capacity, was between 160 and 300. And we had 140 secondary schools that had received applications beyond 1,000 and above. And some even go to 3,288 applications. So you can imagine one school having 3,288 applications. So with regard to primary schools, just to give you a picture, from Tshwane West, which is one of our high pressure areas, we've got Lair School Acacia with a capacity of 250, and we received 1,387. And we've already reached capacity. The 250 liners have been placed. If you go above this number, it means now we're moving towards overcrowding. So these are the top 20 schools, primary schools. Number 20, you can see in Joburg East, Sentin View Combined School. had 340 applications for 110 spaces, of which that 110 has already been allocated, so there's no space. So in between you can see, and some of the schools you can see in terms of the districts, it gives you a reflection of which districts have a big challenge in terms of capacity. Namely, you can see Tshwane West, you've got Ekurhuleni South, Tshwane West again, you've got there's Ekurhuleni North that also has a problem, and Joburg North, and Joburg East. These are districts which we have a big challenge in terms of space that should be available. So if you go to high schools, you can see Hoërskool Langehoven, it's got 289 spaces, but it received 3,288. So there's 3,000 learners who will not make it into that school. And also you can see it's in Tshwane West. And Ekurhuleni South, you can see Alberton High with 200 spaces, but receiving 2,749 applications for that school. Joburg East as well. Joburg East is where we are. Parktown High with 190 spaces, receiving 2,506 applications. And we do have some of our township schools, because I know there was a belief there's always an issue around township schools. If you look at Pumlani Secondary, which is in Ekurhuleni South, it's got 450 available capacity, but it received 2,250. Gauteng Secondary School, the same, 400 capacity, 2,209. Gauteng Engineering School of Specialization as well, 320, 2170. So even some of our township schools are currently now have reached capacity. In fact, in some of our districts, Joburg East and Ekurhuleni North, most of our township schools have reached capacity, if not all of them, as we speak now. And maybe just to add a bit of news around Gauteng Engineering School of Specialization, it won a gold award at the public administration. Is it? Public? Yes.
Best administration.
Yes. Yeah, best administration in the country. Contesting with other institutions. It's not schools. It's not the teacher awards here. We're not speaking about teacher awards. We're speaking about awards with other government institutions, other departments. It got gold as the best service delivery institution in the whole country. Further, we've got our Ross team that also won the Innovators Award, defeating all these innovations that have taken place for our multi-certification program, as well as the principal of the school also received bronze as a best public leader in the country. So that shows that we're doing a lot of work in our province. But as you can see, the numbers speak for themselves, that there are schools that are oversubscribed. So to mitigate this, we have implemented multiple strategies, but key amongst those, of course, you know, that is the delivery of mobile classrooms to elevate pressure and create classroom spaces in some of our schools. We've also continued with our self-build program, which in the past we've constructed over 3,799 classrooms. The figure, don't worry, I don't think it's 2.5 million. It's 250,000 at max that spaces that have been created by 3,799. And currently we're in the process of building 1,745 additional self-built classrooms. So majority of this 1,700 will be concluded by the end of March, which is around 1,300 or so plus. So, as you can see, it will create space for around 61,075 learners. And this self-build program is targeted at schools that are in high-pressure areas, so that it increases, it helps us to increase spaces. And it's been quite successful, this program, over the past. So we continue to rely on it, because we then give schools the responsibility to build these these classes. And schools have really come on board and complied, because they also see the necessity and the importance of actually getting this program to work as quickly as possible. One thing I will lament is the pace of municipalities in approving plans. I have to be honest, municipalities have been quite a bit of a problem in this regard, because if a private developer comes and says he wants to build an estate, they approve those plans very quickly. But when a school comes and says, this is what we want to do, I have to say it here, it takes forever. I don't know why, but clearly they've got their priorities wrong in that regard. So municipalities, we have been having an engagement with them around this, that look, you have to prioritize this, because it's pointless to build an estate but there's no school. You need a school before. In fact, if we're doing things right, we're supposed to build social infrastructure first before we even bring this residential area. But we're doing things the other way. They're doing, in fact, not us. Municipalities are doing things the other way around. They're starting with residential areas, and that's why we have high pressure areas. It's exactly because of that. A space where there used to be 8 houses, they've bought that property, demolished those 8 properties, they've built high-rise bid. Now that property houses 300 families from 8. And then the school remains the same school with the same capacity. So that is one of the reasons, one of the things that has created problems for us. We have built 13 satellite schools, which now, obviously, these are mobile schools in the previous academic year, which is this year, 2025. And we also have 13 others that are currently concluding, which they will be concluded by the next year. I'm saying all of them, but some of them will be concluded will be up and running much quicker. And the reason why there's slow pace in this other 13, again, the municipality is a delay, is the ones that are delaying it. And I have to put it to you that you know that the problem with us delivering some of our projects, municipality delays us with connection for electricity, connection for water. They take forever. Slow pace of approving some of our plans. So this is where we're having the biggest challenge. We would have long moved and concluded many of our projects, but we are not moving because they don't want to approve plans, they don't want to approve SDPs, and they don't want to give us occupancy certificates. Actually, in some areas, in some schools that have built, that are ready for occupation, the municipality said to me, for us to give you an occupancy certificate, you need to build us a road. It's not my competence to build a road. And when we've done calculations to build what the municipalities want for them to give us this occupancy certificate, it will require 165 million, which we don't have, and which is not fair. Because our role is to build schools and sustain schools. We are not responsible for the road outside. That is the responsibility of the municipality. They are the ones who are collecting rates and taxes to build and sustain those infrastructure. So it cannot be us. They are the ones who are accessing municipal infrastructure grant. It's not us. We get grants to build schools. So some of the requests by the municipalities are quite ridiculous. So, but however, we're still speaking, we're still finding each other. Eventually we will, because they also realize the pressures that are coming in from their side, from the public. So the numbers are there. Just to conclude, the numbers are still there. For those parents who had forgotten their password, as you log on to the system, you will see the part of forgot password. Follow the prompt. It will advise you how to go about so that you can change your password and your details so that you can access the system. and check if there's been any placement offers, or there's been any automatic placement, or any transfer of that in that nature. So I would urge parents to do the same. Our helpline is still the same, the 0800 000 789, and our WhatsApp line 060-891-0361. And please note, because during the admission process, there's always high traffic volume. So I would appeal to parents for patience in that regard. And if they are not happy, the district offices, they are available. I've had parents complain that they are not receiving joy at our district in some instances. I can assure you, parents, go there now. You will see that there's a change in terms of how districts officials are treating this matter, because they know. So, Batupili principals still subscribe, they are aware of that. So our 15 district offices are available for parents to go to if they need more information, if they need more update, or they need to know how far the application process is around their child. So I urge some form of proactiveness from parents in that regard. So the numbers are still the same. Our social media pages are still there. You can utilize them to communicate, as well as our website. I'll run through quickly around the NSC examination period. As you're all aware, this year we had one of our largest cohorts in the province, which is 192,745 registered candidates, of which we also had one of our largest full-time cohort, which is 144,246. So this is the largest number we've ever had in our province to write the national senior examination. And I want to applaud the team for really running a credible, extremely credible process. It was not easy because the cohort was bigger within our examination centers, which are 1,040. And you will see that we've put every measure that policy subscribes. We've followed it to the latter. We've had chief invigilators in every center, invigilators and monitor. So our planning and our execution has been beyond in terms of being successful. We have done everything right. I can assure parents. In terms of credibility, I'm confident to say if there's anything, Gauteng will come out number one in terms of our credibility on how we've ran this examination. And mind you, we are the only province that does 100% monitoring. DBE says 70%. And the other 30%, I don't know how they monitor in other provinces. But us here in our province, it's 100%. Every single examination center is monitored 100%. So we pride ourselves with that. We've had situations where there was a bit of fake news or information around leaked papers, and we investigated all of them. There was no such. That the paper could be lost in between. A person who say that is a person who does not know this process. So I always advise, especially those who want to speak, that you must avoid briefings. Come to us. We will tell you how this process works. If you want to see, let's go and monitor one paper. Look at how we work on what you call JIT, just in time. It's so thorough that there's no way there'll be a leakage. It's virtually impossible. So we've tightened. We've been doing this for years, so we know how to get it right. So in our province, we've been quite successful with that. So in terms of support that we've done overall in the examination period, we've had learners who fall ill in between. I have to flag that. And some majority of them, it was nothing serious, around, I would say 90%, it was maybe a headache or some minor anxiety challenge. And we're able to support those learners. And all of them, they were able to conclude their papers. And those that could not, We have also advised them that they need to give us those medical certificates before school closes so that they'll be eligible to ride in the next round, which is around June. So in terms of disruptions, we didn't experience any disruption. There's not been really any incident that could have disrupted examination in anywhere. Well, there has been one or two areas which we were worried about, but it's only two areas, two centers in the main. One in Davidton where the principal was shot, but we were able to control that situation, support the learners, and the learners were able to ride, irrespective of that incident. And then obviously we had one learner that was doing grade 12 in Westbury who was then arrested for gang violence, currently being charged with a murder of 2 people in the Westbury area. But besides that, examination was smooth across. There's not been major incidences. And those who tried to bring crypt notes or cell phones were using super scanners, and they were very effective, those scanners, to ensure that they don't bring cell phone or smart watches, etc. So those incidences, we never really had any major which can really constitute a disruption at all. So the process has been quite smooth. There's not been, and also just to also continue to applaud even the learners, that they really honored the pledge. They really honored the pledge. In terms of absenteeism, we've had 2.7%, the highest, which for full-time candidates, and then for part-time, and you know part-time it differs. So the part-time range from 10.5 per session to anything around almost 60% for some of the subjects. And these are part-time candidates. These are people who work. These are people who have gone back and said they want to conclude their National Senior Certificate. So it was quite difficult to really control this group of learners. But in terms of full-time candidates, the highest where we had an absenteeism was 2.7 in one session. So it has been quite good. So that shows that 97% of candidates have always consistently attended and wrote and completed their exams. But obviously the concern would have been the wasteful expenditure, because then we would have printed papers and they would not have come to write, especially for part-time candidates. I've spoken about the incidences that have taken place, the concerns, but besides that, everything has been smooth. I'm quite confident about the results this year. The marking sessions have started. The early marking session began on the 24th of November with 5 marking centers that were utilized with 1,243 markers and 191,461 scripts that were marked across these 9 exam papers. And that process was concluded on Tuesday. On Tuesday actually began the full marking, where we have 9,400 markers, which we have trained already. We've done that part. In 832 exam assistants have been appointed as checkers to ensure that marks are correctly totaled and entered on the mark sheet are correct. So this shows, here I'm just showing that that's how thorough we are as a province in ensuring that everything that we capture is correct. And this is expected to be concluded on the 12th of December 2025. And then obviously the capturing by 15 of December. So in terms of the results, we've captured all of them. The SBAs, PAT and oral marks have already captured, especially through the early marking sessions. And then the whole marking process obviously will be concluded by the 15, and the capturers standardization will begin as well from the 13th to the 21st of December, and will be concluded with Umalusi on the 22nd of December. Announcement, we will be announcing our results. The national result will be announced on the 12th of January, and then the provincial announcement will be done on the 13th of January. I want to appreciate the Telkom Foundation for coming on board, giving us a venue and hosting and prizes for our top learners. It will be hosted in Centurion on the 13th of January, where we'll be honoring our top students there. So in terms of key dates, it's Umalusi will release the results to DBE on Friday, the 9th of January. Monday, the minister will announce the national results on Monday the 12th. Tuesday, it's us as provinces, Gauteng rather, 13th January. And learners will receive their results statements also on the same day. And then for rewrites, for those learners who don't make it, or maybe want to upgrade one or two subjects, the registration will be closing for May and June examination on Friday the 6th of February. And for those learners who don't make it, it's not the end of the road. They must know that there's other avenues available for them to conclude the examination and actually get that national senior certificate, which is quite a credible certificate internationally. I know many don't believe, some don't believe, naysayers, but our certificate, the NSC can get you into Harvard University or any other internationally recognized top university in the world. So that's how credible our national senior certificate is. So you must never listen to anybody who tell you that this certificate is not worth its paper. It's more than worth its paper. It's an important step for any child as they embark on their future. So I want to congratulate them as I conclude for really the 12 years that they've spent in school, their commitment, and their ability, their determination to see throughout these 12 years. Not easy for any person. All of us who have gone through this path know that it has not been easy. And they've actually pulled through. They're here now. And all I can say that on behalf of our province, we'll also wish them well as the results come out, and also wish them well in their future. Thank you.
Thank you, MEC. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving to Q&A. Like as we have indicated, those that will want to ask, we will also take those questions. I think we need to move the mics. Or we connected, all of us? Are we connected, all of us? Yes.
DJs forever now. I don't know. He lives here. His old uncle says here. He doesn't want to leave Gauteng.
I've got at 6 o'clock meetings.
Wow, one. Yes.
But it's all right.
What's up? Hey, forgive me, guys. Some optics are not working for me here. Okay. By raise of hands, I'll take you in that order and you put your hands. One, let's remember 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it good? So I mean, I ended at 4.
That's fine.
Yeah, let's take the first round and see on how we go. So on my left, I have Matome Chiloane. She's heading admissions. On the extreme left is Matome. She's heading exams. And in the middle, we have NEC. So they are capable of taking all questions. We are not restrictive. The department is here. You can ask us on all questions because I know some of you have your questions outside what we're presenting. We are welcoming all questions. Thank you. In that order.
Good morning. My name is Suman from Kaya News. My first question, NEC, is does the department have a contingency plan should you not meet your 12th December deadline? I know you mentioned the 7 days that will come after that, but should that 7 days still not be met, what is your contingency plan? My second question is we saw a spate of a lot of bullying incidents this year. What is the department's plan with that going forward? And finally, there's been a big debate around the pass rate being increased from 30% to 50%. What is the Gauteng education stance on that, and how feasible is it?
Hello. Good morning. My name is Cliff from Jakarta from Greece. Just 2 questions. Snow already covered part of it, but in general, we normally see long queues at schools. Maybe talk to us about contingency plan for January, particularly for parents who would not have applied those newcomers. And then the second question would be on the school safety. I mean, the shooting incident in Tembisa is really a sad situation, but what are the meaningful policies the department having with the security trust to kind of provide adequate security?
Okay.
So this is from the NTA. So maybe my first set of questions is just for clarity. In terms of the appeals and the objections, again, just for clarity, is that an internal process that's done by people within the department? Yeah, so just that. And also, are appeals that are generally overturned? I know the agency was explaining how that whole process works. Is there a chance that parents will actually get whatever outcome before? Is it a process to sort of go through the process and to say the process? And then in terms of the incomplete applications and the non-applications where that is open at the beginning of the year, do we have an idea by chance of how many, is there a way to quantify really how many people you think have either not applied altogether or incomplete applications, given the fact that you've seen those numbers and you always see these numbers where the numbers are concerning in terms of like the space and that sort of thing, and there are a lot. Then my next question is just in terms of the Westbury teen, well, he's not just a teenager anymore, he's 20. What happens to him in terms of the exams and when he was arrested? Because I think he was arrested on the Tuesday when the exams started, that first day, and then I think he appeared in court on the Thursday when the English paper was written. So, and then that process has been happening. So do we know what has happened to him and what will happen to him? And does his age also play a factor because he is 20? And then just also on the contingency plans that my colleagues have brought up, there was talk that the system had been offline for some days at some point. Can we please comment on that? And is the department saying that the issues, and I know AMC brought up the reasons for why there were delays, is it basically that the delays were caused by parents completely? Is there, as I said, there were concerns that, or talk that the system had been offline as well? Could it be that it was parents, but also that the system itself also played a role in what happened? And I think that's it from me for now.
Good morning, my name is Karim. I would just like to know, schools inform parents that they must submit their documentation to the schools beforehand at open days and then apply online.
Okay, they didn't hear, just repeat the first time.
In the media house.
Oh, in the media house.
Sorry? The media house was from? Oh, I'm from Akipura. I'm
Oh.
house. Okay, so I'll just start my question again. Inform parents that they must submit their documentation at the schools of their choice beforehand and at open days, and then when the online system opens, they must then submit their application there as well. So a lot of parents were under the understanding that when they were registered at their school and they registered online, they will have place in their school of choice. But now there's a lot of parents that still haven't received any placement information. So I was just wondering about that arrangement from schools and from the department. Was there a lack of communication regarding that? And then I would just also like to ask about the online system. There were claims that the service provider wasn't paid in full, and that contributed to the placement problems. I would just like to know what is the situation regarding those.
Okay, we'll come back. Let's give the panel the opportunity to respond. I think MC will take the questions. I think Ms. Post will assist you with 30%.
Yeah.
And assist on that one, and there was very teenager. None of them have a long queues in general. Late registration, those figures, and the system being offline. So I think you will assist on that one. Listen.
Yeah, that's fine, Steve. Thanks. What I'm gonna not answer, they will take over. In terms of contingency, the 12th of December is our commitment to the public and to the parents that we will be done. In fact, the number that I've presented here is from yesterday. As I speak to you now, we've even moved beyond the 40,000. We are less now because parents have accepted, so there's more offers that have gone out. So we are confident of really getting to the 12th of December. If there anything that can delay, can be an appeal, and that will be parents that would have appealed. But in terms of placement offers, we would have done our part, because remember, we say we've concluded when we have offered you space. That is the minimum. So when we have given you space, then this is when we tick the box that a space was offered, because a space to us is linked with our constitutional obligation of ensuring that a child of school-going age has an opportunity to attend school. So the minimum. So hence to the 12th, that by December, all number that I've highlighted or spoken to of here, the 40,000 odd, they would have received placement offers. Because they might not have created a delay, but will conclude it as well. So that one I can assure the public that we will get to that the 12th of December. And in terms of one just linked to that is which one is this? The late application. They're saying late application it includes incomplete applications. The 40,000 plus that didn't complete the application. I think it was around 45,000 or something, if memory serves me right. They're going to have to also begin that process again. That process of applying. So that on its own is one. And also those parents who appear on day one at our schools, especially those who want grade 1 and grade 8. Going to the school is a waste of time. 1 and 8 is done through the system. Simple. So even if a parent decides, I want to come here to King Edward, you're going to be bothering the principal here. Because the process is go to the system, apply there, you'll find a school that is available, and that's where you go. So I know some parents decide to say, I'm going to go to the school and insist and demand. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I'm urging parents, especially for grade 1 and grade 8. The in-between grades, yes, you can go to the school and you can go to the district for support. So in terms of contingency, we can only anticipate, but we have seen on average the number of learners we are getting, and we know when do we get the most numbers and which grades. But in most cases, on average, I mean, for instance, this year we got around almost 25,000 on day 1. So those are 25,000 kids. We don't know. We didn't plan for them. We're not expecting them, but they're at our doorstep, and they needed to be placed. And this year, if we are honest, we managed it much better than other years, because by the end of the first week, the second week when we conclude the 10 days, the lines in districts were even far less. We're almost done with most of those lines. So we managed it correctly. So we always anticipate based on the data. That's why we use the system as well. System tells us this is an area where most people are. So automatically we know that in this area there will be a greater demand even on the first day. So we were able to plan and anticipate that situation as to where should we get these learners who come from this area, where can we transfer them or point them to get schools, and also the distance. And we also do provide support as well in some instances of scholar transport, if it's possible in the area. So we always anticipate, we know, because we've been getting these numbers consistently every year. So we do anticipate it. So we always have that contingency plan in place of transferring or sending parents to particular schools based on where they are. Appeals do get overturned, yes. Many a times, I mean, there are parents who have applied and who have picked up that the school was wrong, the district was wrong, or who was wrong in between the value chain, and therefore we take and say, go back and fix it, because this parent was number 198 on the list, this child, but how did this child fall off? So the child must be brought into that number and get placed in that particular school. Yes, we have done that. We've done that. So it's not a futile exercise. We've done it many a times. I know that. So I can assure parents that with regard to that, we treat each case. Like I said, I treat each case within its unique form. School safety is a big concern. Really, school safety is linked with also safety of the public in general in different communities. You will find a school such as Westbury, you will have huge challenges around that school with regard to bullying and school safety of learners But we have managed to put comprehensive programs to support such schools. For instance, even this learner was not arrested in the examination. He was arrested after he had written the exam, but he was allowed to conclude the exams in prison, because prisoners also write exams. So the same process was put in place for him to go and write the exam. So also the learner was allowed to complete his examination. So we did put that measures in place for the learner as well. So in terms of schools, Tembisa, yes, it's worrisome. Tembisa, Davidton, Westbury, Recha Park, we know all these challenges that we get across our province, bullying. And we've been running this school safety campaign strongly. Advocacy, bring on parents on board, bring the community on board to protect the school, bring the law enforcement on board, SAPS, wardens. In some instances, we've provided emergency security services to stabilize schools. So all these measures we've always been putting in place, and we're continuing with it. But more important for us as a department, more than anything, we need parents to work with us. Because if a child gives us a problem, we want the parent to assist us. It will be said when the parent finds their child not going to school because of being suspended and they don't know. Because they're not actively involved. They don't know. So I've said to schools that they must be strong. They must be decisive to police and ill discipline. If a child does wrong, suspend. We'll deal with the child. We're not suspending because we don't want the child, we don't love the child. We're saying because we have a problem, my boy or my girl, go to your parents and stay there for a while we are working with those who want to start. Because we can't keep them there so that they can disrupt. So schools have told them that they must be decisive. Because if they're not, as the saying goes, one rotten apple spoils the whole bag. Like cancer, they're going to start building gangsters in school. They're going to start disrupting classes. They're going to make learners fear coming to school. Some children will stop coming or being scared to attend other activities, even attending other classes or going to the ablution facility because there are bullies along the corridor. So I've said to schools, those people, rogue elements, I don't want them in my schools. They must go home and continue with their rogue elements there with their parents, not with me in our schools. So decisiveness around that it's a first start to begin to deal with bullying. And schools have also been told that they also need to be impartial with every single case, but take decisions. Don't delay. Take decisions. The quicker you take decisions, the quicker you resolve the matter, and the quicker you stabilize your school, and the quicker you bring confidence to the whole schooling community. So the Tembisa shooting is a crime matter. And we must also applaud the SAPS on how they've dealt. They managed to apprehend suspects quickly. You know that one of them was an employee in the school, and and I can tell you now, this case is a high priority case. We are arresting people here. Much more are going to be arrested. So to demonstrate that SAPS, and that's why I'm saying I want to thank them and applaud them on how they've dealt with this case quickly, so that also the schooling community and the family can really find closure of those two, the principal and the administrator, because this was an execution style, unnecessary, unwarranted, and ethical employee. A principal who has never yet. If you know that school, you must go and see how many NGOs and partners the school has. All the foundations you can think of. It was a model school in that Tembisa area. So it's a big loss for us as a sector. But the police have done their work and they're continuing to do their work. Open day is a decision of the school. That has got nothing to do with us in the system. If a school wants to do an open day, go ahead. But open day is not the system. It's not the admission process. You can take the details of their parents. You can promise them whatever. The system, when it opens, the parent still has to comply. That's it. And the schools know this. So if schools are not communicating that to parents, then it means the schools have erred. But the truth is, the system opens, all parents come and apply. Be it that you have gone to the open day, you love the school, you've submitted, it's the school, it's all well and good. It's good for a parent to do that because it means they are researching the school and they are appreciating, they are taking active participation in their child. But when it comes to the system, everyone is equal footing. It's not advantageous to say you're in the open day. It's advantageous because of choice and preparation for that particular school. And the school also has a responsibility to advise you on how best to approach this admission process. And I know mostly it's around fee-paying schools. I had a meeting with fee-paying schools. There are some regulations that we are going to review in terms of how best to ensure we support fee-paying school so that they're able to also get the parent population or learner population that will also assist the school as well. But in this regard of the system, it's fairness, equal footing for everyone. So the issue of the service provider and the payment, I'll just leave it to the Chief Director, Mule, to come and cover. And the 30%, I've been having this debate. Let me just give an official. I think maybe an official will explain to you better, because maybe there's a trust deficit between me as a politician and the public in some instances. So let me just give it to the official so that you can explain to you this thing. So I don't know, should I start with Nadine?
Yes.
And Nadine will cover what I've not covered. And then, yeah.
Thank you, MEC. Good morning to the members of the press here this morning. The debate of whether it's 30%, should it go up to 50%, is still in its very early stages. When making a decision of this nature, you have to understand where has the education system come from. Will you be able then to compare performance going forward when you make such a change, and also what impact will it have on our learners? If you go and look at the senior certificate that was implemented prior 2008, we worked at 30 and 40%. 30% was usually for a standard grade subject, 40% for a higher grade, and if you failed the higher grade subject but you got about 30, you still passed the subject on the standard grade. Now, having said that, it's a little bit more complex than just getting 30%. To just achieve a matric certificate, an NSC certificate, a candidate requires 40% in the home language and 40% in two other NSC subjects, which can include life orientation, and then 30% in the remainder. That's just your basic matric NSC. So you can't just cruise along and just get 730s and you get your matric certificate. It's not as simple as that. Then the pass requirements in use differentiate appropriately across different candidates and where they're going in their careers. So depending on the level of your NSC pass, the standards and the requirements increase. So that was just, as I said, that's just for your basic NSC qualification, that example I gave there. When you start looking towards a diploma pass, now you're no longer looking at only 3 subjects with 40%, including life orientation. Listen how it changes. It now goes to 4 subjects with 40%, which one must be a home language, excluding life orientation. So you see how the standard goes up as you go towards the diploma level pass. So no longer can life orientation feature, your home language stays there, but plus 3, which now makes it 4. Now let's go and look quickly at the degree pass. At the degree pass level, the standard goes higher. You need 4 subjects with 50%. So you see how the system is differentiating across those different levels. So it's not an issue of 30%. When you get up there to start going diploma to degree, we're no longer talking 30% anymore. For a degree pass, you require 50% in 4 subjects, again, excluding life orientation, of which one of them might be your home language, but your home language you have to pass with 40% at least. So across the board, everybody has to get 40% for their home language. If you don't achieve the 40% in your home language, you do not qualify for an NSC at any level of pass. So it's not, the debate shouldn't be about is 30% good enough. We must go and look at the standards and criteria that are applied to the different level of passes and ask ourselves quite honestly, what do we expect of our children? What do we expect of our learners? What pathways are they going into? And what level of pass would suit that particular learner? Because we must be careful of not wanting to put everybody into the same system. If we're going to now start pushing and say everybody must get 50% for their 7 subjects, we know that our tertiary institutions, our tertiary system is not ready to absorb the numbers, and there are other work pathways and career pathways that can be considered by learners, and learners have pursued very successfully as they have left our schools without having to go the degree route. So that is the situation currently as it stands, colleagues, and as I say, very early stage of the debate at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandi.
Thanks, Lucy. I think I'm going to provide one response that will be inclusive. Firstly, I want to start by saying the department cannot go live with the system that is not complete. So at the point we go live, the system is complete. However, as we proceed and we realize that there are certain things that happen in the system, particularly, I'll give an example of what MEC said, where parents are deliberately providing fraudulent documents and where parents are deliberately providing or applying to schools that are not offering their home language. Because we have to take into consideration some of these issues, because otherwise it's not in the best interest of the child. So when that happened, it was high numbers. That's when we realized that we need to pause and deal with that issue, correct the system so that the schools can be able to comply in terms of their processes when they process the applications. The district, similarly, they had to process, and it had to be a smooth process. So there was no point where the system was not functional because there was an issue. No, it was a deliberate pause because we needed to deal with those queries. Otherwise, it was a question of, queries come on a daily basis, but there's no point in dealing with those queries one-on-one except to adjust the system to ensure that all schools and all district offices would be able to manage that process. So that is what happened. Then coming to the issue of January and the numbers, I just want to also mention that this year we have a total of applications that are equal to last year's applications that included late. So we have more applications this year than last year. So surely the placement would stretch a bit longer because we now have more than last year's. However, because we know and we understand that we have a constitutional obligation to all the learners, even those parents that are going to apply late, they would still apply. The only problem is those are the parents that are creating the queues in January. Because if I live in Gauteng and I apply late and all the schools in Gauteng are high pressure schools and are full, then I get a school in, the next possible school somewhere else. In January, those are the parents that flood our offices queuing and saying, but I live in Gauteng, give me CARES because I want my child to go to CARES. Whilst when you applied, you knew that CARES is not available. So those are the things that we deal with in January. But effectively, MEC is correct. If you apply late, the system is designed to place you immediately because that's the only space that is available. There's no need for us to hang you in the system and say we will place you later. So the parents must also understand that if you apply late, you have to take what is available in the system because all other schools would ordinarily be full to capacity. The issue of the service provider not paid, I don't think it's true. Surely that there are contractual obligations between the department and the service provider. And as I said, why would we not pay the service provider when the system was already complete? So I don't know where that comes from, but all I know is the delays were caused by what I explained earlier. I also want to reiterate this. We are running a system that is very interactive. So all those parents that did not submit documents, they received numerous reminders, SMSs, numerous reminders saying, you haven't submitted your documents, submit your documents. Those reminders start at the point where they submit applications. The system will count days and start sending the reminders. When the process gets to the school level and the principals and the administrators at schools start processing, those reminders would still go out from the school level as well to say, you haven't submitted your documents, please submit. So those parents knew and they've been reminded, so it's really not an excuse for them not to have submitted the documents. But lastly, I also want to say, in January, we don't really want parents to come to our schools. We want our schools to start teaching and learning on day one. So even those parents that are applying for inner grades that are going to schools, don't go to the school and say, you didn't respond to me, you didn't accept my child. The school should not be entertaining those parents. They must go to the district. And now you can understand why our district offices are flooded in January. And our experience with those parents is that a parent applied to CARES for grade 8 this year. The school is full, they don't get placed. Next year they come to CARES, they apply for grade 9. But CARES has all those learners in grade 8 that need to progress to grade 9. CARES says, my school is still full, I can't take you. They come back the following year for grade 10. So for us, it's a question of school hopping. So parents must not school hop. If you placed, must know that the school that was your preferred school, it's full, and it will be full throughout. And remember, at a certain point, MEC would have said to the principals, give us additional space so that we can place more. So those schools, even though they were full when we close up admissions, somewhere they get even extra learners. So as they progress, those numbers are still there. So parents cannot hope for inner grade placements in the following years when they couldn't be placed in the entry grade. And I think that's quite important, so that we allow the districts to deal with parents that come in January and for whatever reason their children are not placed. Then we can deal with those. But those that are placed, please accept your placement offers and stay in those schools so that we can progress. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take the second round if we do have, and also go online and just scan through some of the questions that are here and see, because it's chock-a-block here. There's many parents that are interested, they're online, they're asking questions. So I think I'll take a few of them so that we can respond. Number one. Number two, behind you, number two, and then we'll be number three. And then I'll take my online questions. Okay, in that order. Start the side.
Is it fine? Maria Kaputa from the SABC. MEC, you spoke about the 467 schools being full capacity. So how many schools are then available so far? In case I missed that, please make it clear. And then the Omanusi was concerned that usually during exams, excuse me, you find principals, teachers that are blocking students from writing or pupils. Did Gauteng experience any of that when people were blocked from writing? And then MEC, you spoke about how Gauteng will come out number one in terms of credibility of matric results. metric exams themselves and how you were monitoring them. What do you think? How do you think Gauteng will do this time around in terms of the results themselves? Yeah, that's it for me.
Greeting MEC and the team. Tabiseng Lejean from Central News. My question is with regards to the occupancy certificate from the municipality. MEC, you did mention that there is some delay or challenges in receiving those because the municipalities have certain requirements. I just want to know what possible solutions or agreements are on the table so that we can avoid those delays. And are these issues being escalated to the national departments should the delays from the municipalities persist? Thank you.
Yes.
From ENSA again. Just the MEC raised issues about the municipalities and when they approve plans and the slowness in that versus for private developers approaching the department. And you said you are talking to each other and you're still finding each other. Just maybe in terms of what you mean by you're still finding each other. And also, how sustainable is that situation given the big issue of migration in Gauteng, where the municipality is taking a longer time to approve plans that would be very important in terms of school and allocating schools and that sort of thing, versus the speediness to approve plans for private developers. And then my second question is just in terms of this online process, we keep going through this every year. Is there a chance that the department could start the process earlier in the year?
Okay, we're taking notes. Then let me go online so that we balance the equation and we are not seen to be unfair. But forgive me online, we're not going to take all the questions. Some are comments which we will interact with you through the system. There's an indication that the system is not updating when schools have reached capacity. So I think we need to attend to that. They're saying the system is not updating them when schools reach capacity. So you respond to that. They're saying township schools are overcrowded. And the parent says, I declined the transfer offer. Only applied one school where she's doing grade R. So I think we need to address the issue of grade R. This one I must read. Most of parents use fake addresses and they are accepted in our feeder zone. You have to promise that you make sure that you double check that now we are not placed. So I think it's a direct interaction with us. Prioritize South African citizens first. Myself. The panel is noted. My son was placed in a school that is unfamiliar in language, culture, and distance. Saying that we totally ignored the sibling placement. So you will go to the sibling in case of capacity. Mrs. This is your soldiers are moved. Otswan is the body to be exact. So we need to attend to them.
What?
Our employees. They are complaining about rudeness of the officers. Some comments, you'll pardon me online, I'll have to jump because you are commenting. But this one says, scrap the online admissions application process. So I think you need to give a perspective on why we are in the system. Yeah, this one is prominent because I saw two of his comments. My child has been transferred to an African school, and she's attending, where she was attending is English, his home language. So I think this is the reason because of the name. Yeah. This one is just a complaint. You're not supposed to mix this with the examination update. But on our other space. I think, yeah, generally, yeah, the art is prominent, and we just need to re-emphasize on that. And South African citizens, yeah, but this one, let me read this one. Primary school less than 3 kilometers away, well addressed less than 3 kilometers away. How the child is not placed. Now the last one. A school within 4 kilometers, it's not in the feeder zone of his parent, but one that is 14 kilometers away is in the feeder zone. How does it work? Maybe we need to expand on how the feeder zone is. Yeah, I think there's maybe the interest is huge. I think generally that's in our response try to allay fears. Or the other one, which is important, they're saying what happens if on the 12th, the day that the MECs are out, their children are placed. Then what? I think it's between MEC and
Yeah.
We had one case where a principal blocked a candidate. We intervened and the candidate wrote the exam. It's the holistic concept.
Oh, okay.
No, I think let the MEC start. Oh, no, yeah, MEC. MEC.
Okay. In terms of schools that are available, I think we'll just have you respond, Chief Director.
Yes.
Around blocking of learners, it's only one candidate that in our province, only one. And we were able to intervene, and the candidate was able to write. So just one in our province. Our monitoring, like I said, 100%. 100%. And I'm saying we're the only one in the whole country. So they know my colleagues in the whole country. South Africa, all of it. Gauteng is one that does 100% monitoring. I'm still waiting for my counterparts to really meet us on this one of monitoring. In terms of outcome, look, our learners gave their best shot. I'm confident that they'll do well. And I'm confident they'll do well for themselves, their schools, their community, and the province. So in terms of percentage, I can't speak to now. My ideal percentage is 100%. I want all of them to pass. Because that's why we teach children. We teach them to pass. We don't teach them to fail. So I'm hoping that all of them go through and begin the new journey in their lives. So we're almost at the tail end. I think we can wait another 2-3 weeks to wait for results. So I'm confident that we'll do better than what we've done in the previous academic year. So the delays in municipalities, possible solution and escalation maybe to national. With that, the solution that we are proposing for municipalities is to let them give us create a unit. I mean, education is one of their biggest clients of any municipality. We are a very big client of any municipality. They get most of their revenue. If there's a client they get revenue from, it's us. So, for me, it's normal that when you are dealing with a big client, even in a bank, if you are a big client, when you enter the bank, you don't enter even in the same door as everyone. There's a special door for you because of the size of the client you are. So municipalities must appreciate that education is a huge client for them. And with that said, they should create units that deal specifically with education issues, ranging from buildings to municipal services to any other issues that are relating to our school. And this is a proposal that I've put forward in the IGR to the mayors, that give us of a unit, design a unit that deals, you can say government, if they want, but specifically dealing with education. Because they are switching off, sometimes they switch off our water, they switch off our electricity. So it would be good if City of Joburg can have a dedicated office that deals with this big client called education in this province, or the City of Tshwane. So that is one key solution that I've put forward to the cities, that let them create that particular office. And that office, I'm confident that, I'm sure most of the issues that we raise, whether it's a building approval, SDPs, etc., it can be done, because it will know that if it comes from this office, it comes from a big client. It must get priority. As to why they prefer this estate residential development, maybe for them it's an assumption of rates and taxes, because of course, if you've got more houses, it means you get more money. From that, in that respect, and it's good revenue for the municipality. But still, their biggest client, I can tell you now, if they have to make it into individuals, education will be amongst the top 3, if not the biggest, because of the infrastructure that we are responsible for. If you're looking at about 2,300 schools, it's a lot of nodal points where they get revenues. So we are a very big client in terms of to the municipalities. So that's what for me a key solution to the municipalities. Give us dedicated focal point where we can get our issues addressed, and really even give them prioritization. Because if they don't, they'll have despondent residents. Because if these parents are despondent in where they stay, because it's frustration, because their kids don't have schools. So the municipalities need to move in the direction of come to us and say, help us, because our residents are being despondent and they're getting frustrated. So let's work together and get this infrastructure up so that we service them. So that's around the municipalities. And also, obviously, the pace is important. I mean, we're dealing with a case now in one of the schools that I want it to be up and running, Lufering, which was one of our top schools last year. Now, the movement in construction of that school is delayed by the city. On a simple matter to say, this land, which belongs to Gauteng government, does not belong to GDE. I mean, for us, that thing is immaterial. GDE is Gauteng government. It's not a parallel, a different institution. It's the same. It's one unitary government. And they don't want to give us approvals. They say, no, that it must be written, the land ownership must be Gauteng Department of Education. So they just, I'm saying they're just being difficult in some instances on very trivial matters, because it doesn't matter. It does not mean if it's written GPG we are going to pay for it. We are not going to pay for that land. It's our land. We are taking it for free. We'll just transfer it. You know, those are some of the things. That's what I'm saying, that municipalities, they just become difficult and necessary, including this one of expecting us to build their roads. We are not going to build their roads. In fact, one municipality asked us to build them a reservoir. We said, no, build us a reservoir, we'll give you approval. I mean, that's almost extortion, I can put it that way. You know, it's been 30, municipalities are paying 30% now with schools. The school is ready, we want to bring children, we just want them to connect and say, no, build us a reservoir. What? It's madness, it's not going to happen. Anyway, it's not our responsibility. Anyway, so these are some of the challenges that we have with the municipalities. Coming to starting earlier, I agree with that. We'll start earlier in the next session. This year we did start a bit late, but next year we are more than ahead in terms of the planning. We'll start far earlier so that we conclude this process much quicker. So we'll do that. In terms of the online questions, we are noting the feedback of saying the system must update if the school is full. It does. It doesn't update.
It does, but I know what they are talking about.
Okay, you'll deal with that one. Township schools being overcrowded. Obviously, it's expected because obviously our townships are one of the areas where quite populated. So yes, there are some that are overcrowded, but we are dealing with this. Remember, overcrowded should be linked with space. So with all our mitigation strategies that we put in place, self-built mobiles, we are able to really put our learners adequately in our classrooms. So we do deal with this aspect of overcrowding. But also overcrowding must be understood in proper context. In a school, you'll find that it's got 3 home languages or 4 home languages, whatever. Now, you have a Zulu class, you have a Sepedi class, and you have a Ndebele class. And if the school has got more Zulu learners, the Zulu home language class will then have more learners than Sepedi home language when they are attending home language, period. And then you have some person who comes in and runs into that Zulu classroom and takes a video and say, yeah, the school is full, overcrowded, everything. No. Sometimes it's also linked to subject choice. For instance, math literacy class will have more learners than a mathematics class. You know, but does not mean that the school holistically in terms of teacher-learner ratio has been violated. In all our schools, we make sure that the teacher-learner ratio is there. It's always compliant. So that's why I'm saying that we need also to understand the context of this overcrowding. That is not like every class you are sitting with 80 learners or whatever number that they are saying. It's not true. And I would urge even yourself as members of the media to go to those schools that they say overcrowded and go and walk into that every classroom. You'll find that it's always subject related. And also you must remember that you need a teacher of a particular subject to come be employed, and so that you can also relieve. But in the case where you don't have, or there's a delay, or you can't find a teacher with that competency, you will then experience that. But it's a situation that we don't want at all. So we always urge our schools to move quicker in terms of appointing educators for those particular subjects. Fake addresses, schools are given opportunity. I've said many a times, a school can go and verify if you stay there. It's not violation of privacy, parents. I've said to them, go and check to deal with fake addresses, fake document residential address. A school has a right, can go and confirm that does Matome Chiloane stay here and check. So they do. Some schools do that to make sure that they can verify, and some schools don't. But I urge schools to also have that particular proactiveness to confirm. So we have given them the leeway to do that. Foreign nationals, just to allay the the public around the number. We're sitting at around 3%. It's only 3% from this admission process. 3% of applicants are of foreign origin now. So 97% is South Africans. 3% are foreign nationals. So I understand the parent who have raised this concern, but I thought I should just give you the figure of where we are. That is, we are only dealing with 3%. So 97% are South African children. So this is the numbers. So it's not there that we have 30% foreign. No, it's not there. It's only 3%, and we'll share the data if needs be. Siblings, something that, if for instance, if a parent appeals on a sibling, it's something worth considering. I can tell you now. If a parent appeals that my child is this one, is here, I've applied, and there's a sibling, it's a very strong factor, because we do understand the economic challenges that are facing our parents. I mean, it will not be fair for a parent to drop a child here and go and drop a child there, and it's financial sustainability as well. So we do look at that. I've received such appeals, and they've received a positive review from myself. The conduct of Tshwane employees, we'll look into it. I know Tshwane have been having problems in that area at some point. That there was a march, they blocked, they held the district hostage. So maybe there's something there. I must just go there. I told the senior management that I'm going to do this, do my own study, what to call this, mystery shopper. I'm going to apply mystery shopper, arrive there with a taxi, enter there with a sporty, they will not see me, no classes, enter my overall, and just need help. And I know, fortunately, I'm not popular, so they will not note me. So then I will be able to see if they are rude, who's rude, what is the problem. So I've told them I'm going to do that, especially next year at the beginning, dealing with the lines. And I've already started doing some unannounced visit to some of the district offices. Scrapping the system is not, look, scrapping the system, I can tell you parents, we are dealing with 400,000 of you with 2,200 schools or 300 schools. Can you imagine the lines? The population of Gauteng has grown. It's not the same as year 2000. It has gone double from what it was to what it is now. It has grown. And it's still growing. So if you think it's going to be teaching form, imagine if Langehoven had to deal with parents coming. It will mean that it has to set up a department just to deal with the forms of 3,000 parents who will literally even disrupt the school. It will be a mess. It will be chaos. What about parents who work? What are parents who are sick in hospital, but they're there, who need to go to the doctor? You know, so this system is so convenient. You know, it's so convenient, and it is also has a high placement percentage. Our placement percentage of parents who are happy is 90%. 90% of parents are always happy with the placement. Obviously, then we'll have this 10% that we always transfer because of spaces of schools of choices. So I hope that 90% will always speak for Dawn because they are comfortable. So we are always dealing with the 10% who create a perception that the system is not doing its job. No, it's doing so well. 90% of parents are happy. It's convenient. Anybody can use it. And also serve. It is also part of the problem. So if we remove it, no school will take place during the application process. I can tell you. You will have lines, and you would know that before we introduced the system, parents used to queue for days. I mean, that's quite inhumane. A parent must go and work for their children. They are not at work. They are sitting there in a queue. I know some business people who are having some braais and selling there, but still, it's not right. It's not right. So this system is convenient. And I'm just saying, just imagine if it was not there and 400,000 parents or 800,000 are at schools looking for spaces. So scrapping it's quite difficult. It's not even on my mind currently as the MEC. You will respond to the Afrikaans English transfer, primary school not placed, and the kilometer and feeder zone, I think you will clarify it, that one. Okay, let me just hand over to the Chief Director.
Thanks, MEC. I think it would be difficult and incorrect to say at this stage how many schools are available, because remember, every minute placements are happening and the schools get full. So I think at the point where we come to the end of placements, then we'll be able to say how many schools are available, because that will be a definite number. But at this stage, it's a moving target, so it would really be difficult to say. The system that is not updating. Remember when MEC was presenting, MEC showed the number of parents that are sitting with offers. So if a school has, let's say, 10 spaces available and 10 parents are sitting with offers, that school is not full because those 10 spaces are not filled. The parents are still sitting with offers. So that school will not update its status to the school has reached capacity. And that's where the problem is. Hence, we are pleading with parents to say, accept your offers, because most of the schools that you may be waiting for have 1 or 2 spaces. You may not even get an offer, but you will never know because the schools still remain with very few spaces. And if a parent sitting with 2 offers decides to take an offer in another school, the second offer appears as a space available in that school. So that school can't show as reached capacity. So that's where parents don't see that the schools that they're waiting for have reached capacity of the parents that are holding access. So hence that reached capacity doesn't update because the school still has capacity. And fair, it has capacity because 1 more or 2 more parents can still get an offer from that school. MEC, I just want to add one thing to the issue of addresses. In high pressure areas, as residents, we've also got into a situation where we find it easy to go to the police station and make an affidavit and say, I'm living with this person, knowing very well that you don't. And hence the schools in high pressure areas are refusing to accept those affidavits because they know it's not true. Give them the municipality bill and they will deal with the municipality bill. For residents in their addresses, know that the schools know that you are sending addresses and are going to accept it. The that are transferred to African schools or to a school with a different language, don't look at the name of the school. We have schools that could have a particular name, but they are dual schools. So when you see Wonderboom, you think Wonderboom is only Afrikaans. No, Wonderboom might be offering Afrikaans and English. So don't look at and I think it's that because the system is structured such that you cannot place a child in a school where they are not offering the language of teaching and learning for that child. It just blocks that placement. It shows you a pop-up message that says language mismatch. So it's just not possible. And lastly, the issue of 4 kilometers versus 30 kilometers or 3 kilometers, I think as parents, we also need to take an active role in the activities that are happening in our schools. Remember when feeder zones were structured, it was an official process and a legal process where the MEC published the draft to say to the public and the parents, make your inputs. So that draft was published as a gazette, and eventually there were consultations all over the province. The MEC did the consultations, then finally the gazette is out. So we cannot question the gazette now when we had an opportunity to have made inputs. But also, we understand it could also be the fact that I was not there as a parent at that time and it didn't matter to me. But let's understand the feeder zone issue is a legal process that is gazetted. So it's not something that we can change overnight. It has to go through the process. Just the last thing is the question of how do we know, or how are we certain that on the 12th all learners will be placed? I can guarantee you that after the 12th, it's only parents that will be waiting for their responses on appeals that will be left with their appeals being responded to, but every learner would have ordinarily received an offer of placement. Thanks.
Grade R to grade 1.
Oh, the issue of grade R to grade 1. I think MEC, even in the last briefing, you clarified the issue of resources. That in the province, we are looking at the issue of making grade R as an entry grade. However, it's something that you can't do overnight because you need to ensure that you have resources to do that. One of the issues is that we have primary schools that do not have grade R classes at all. They don't even have space for grade R. So to put all schools on an equal footing, we are working on ensuring that those schools that do not have grade R can have an alternative for grade R, so that when parents apply, we're going to start the entry grade as grade R. So this is the last year where grade 1 is an entry grade, but from 2026, grade R is going to be an entry grade. So we are addressing that. But at this moment, all learners will go into the school as primary school entry grade as grade 1, so that we can also look at managing the resources and ensuring that all schools can access grade R capacity for their learners. Thanks.
Okay, thanks very much. I think we are done. The grades R, when she says 2026, she means when we open for applications in 2026 or 2027, we will be working on the grade R as in the entry point, because we know legislatively that's where we are starting as per the act that was amended. And let me see, make sure you don't wear red overall because they will see it.
No, definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, they're fine.